Good afternoon, everyone. We are here at the back end of the Dmexco First Day 2015. We've brought Lindsay Pattison, Global CEO for Maxus, to the M&M Global filming studio. Hello, Lindsay.
Hello, thank you very much.
No problem. Fresh off stage. So what was happening in your talk today? What was it about? Automation, I hear. So
yeah, it was a panel called the Automation Debate. Is it the catalyst for the digital economy? There was going to be a vote at the start of the session, but I think we didn't bother with the vote because the answer is broadly yes. And it was introduced with a bit of a ding-dong about whether the whole industry had #failed by talking about programmatic when the word should be automation. But it was a German moderator. He seemed very stuck on the fact that it should be called automation, not programmatic. But it was a good and kind of wide-reaching debate. There was a client, a CMO of IBM, a fabulous woman called Caroline. There was the CEO of OpenX, a DSP from LA, and myself. So
Okay.
3 different points of view, I hope.
yeah. And it's interesting. I came here 2 years ago, and I would say the majority of speakers were German and 90% German. And now, 2 years later, we seem to have switched, and it's got international flavour. What makes it important for Maxus to be here?
I think you're right. I mean, actually, a lot of the voices on stage now are English or American. I've still a few Germans creeping in. It was actually really important for our German office that I come. So I've never been to Dmexco before. I'm blown away by the size of it. I think there's something like 30,000 people coming through the doors. There are about 600 different stands, which in itself actually I think is a challenge rather than something
Yes.
to celebrate. We'll come back to that. But Maxus in Germany is doing incredibly well. We've doubled our billings this year. They're doing incredibly well, but they're still actually, according to RECMA, are probably ranked about 13, even without doubling billings. So actually they are a brilliant agency. I love our leader, Christian Leipacker. He has a great team, but they need to grow their fame. So actually coming and speaking at Dmexco, a lot of the people that come are still German. It's international, but I would still say probably 60% of attendees are German, but it is much more international. But for Maxus, get up on stage, talk about what we're doing, build some excitement around the brand, and, we'll come back to the female question because I know you love it when I talk about women and girl power.
Absolutely.
But to some extent, being a female global leader is still very rare.
Yes.
In our industry, and so actually sometimes it is easier for me to be asked to get on a stage because, as you well know, it's good to get women on stage, so you show the diversity.
I know. I like to show diversity. Unfortunately for us, Global wasn't as diverse as Singapore was, so it was a bit of a challenge. But we will come on to that in a moment. But Maxus, obviously, Germany is doing very well. So I suppose that brings me back to, it's been a year since you've been in the global role, or the global hot seat, if you like. What have you done what are your biggest achievements? What would you like to now do going forward? And is there anything that didn't quite work but you're going to revisit?
So 11 months in, give me a month.
Okay, sorry.
Anything I haven't done I can quickly try and do. I think a lot of my focus has actually been spent internally, so setting a really clear vision, a clear positioning for the company, setting a strategy from good to great. I won't go through each of those pillars, but there's 4 pillars to growth for us. Tightening our position around change, so we talk about leaning into change as our philosophy. What does that really mean? How does that work with our culture? How does it work with our planning process? How does it work with the way we service clients? So 2 of the things I'm incredibly proud of is we've reinforced lean into change by a new planning process, fully interactive, based on why, how, what, called change planning. So where are you today? Where do you want to be tomorrow? What's the change plan that's going to get you there? So that is a system that's just literally rolling out around the world. And so that's it from a kind of planning perspective, but sometimes we forget about a lot of the day-to-day of a business's work is managing clients and delighting clients and organising clients. So actually we've started a client leadership program called Lead into Change. So how do we not only lean,
right,
but stand in front and lead that change? And we will have trained 280 of our top client leaders around the world by November in how to share best practice around client leadership skills and also to learn some talent. So what is it that makes a great client leader in today's media world? Curiosity.
Right.
How do you teach people? How do you help people become curious about, be interested and interesting in what they're doing? We talk about presence. So that's really about gravitas. How do you come into a room, as Sheryl Sandberg would say, sit at the table or lean in and make sure you've got a really good point of view. It's really important for our people as we consult across a number of areas and as we move upstream to be able to have real presence. And then the third one is resilience. It's a tough business. And you might get knocked down, you get back up again. I think there's a song about that.
Yes.
But how do you be resilient? How do you learn to, the tech companies will say fail fast or fail harder. So maybe we should be testing and learning, but we don't like failing, and we have to be resilient and we have to mature. So those two programs I'm really pleased of. And then we've, have the small matter of having put on $500 million of new business, so that's
it's quite nice.
that's nice as well.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. All those programs all focus around talent as well.
Yeah.
And obviously, that's a huge thing in the industry. How do you, in today's evolving landscape, ensure that you bring that right talent in? And obviously, you see so many people who want to join a Facebook or an Instagram or a Snapchat. How do you say, actually, agencies are still a great place to work? What's the appeal still for an agency?
Yeah, I think agency culture is really important. So we have a culture of pace. So people that are passionate, agile, collaborative and entrepreneurial, and I would think within that, giving people the space to be entrepreneurial and agile is really important. So Maxus is the smallest but the fastest growing of the group of agencies, a challenger brand, and we talk about being able to beta test for our clients. Again, 85% of our clients are local clients rather than networked, so we should be able to test and learn. We should be able to try out new technologies. We should be able to be much more entrepreneurial and agile than maybe some of the more networked clients where things are much more top down. So I think that's really important. And I think, a spirit of feeling like a small agency whilst we're growing, but feeling warm and inclusive and a great place to work. And I was fascinated. I went to a WPP strategy conference last week, and one of the creative agencies there had a really interesting perspective on churn. So we don't really like churn. We get angst about the fact we've just trained people and we love them as being part of our culture, then they disappear normally to Facebook or Google. But actually he had a really interesting perspective, which is think about the brilliance of all of those new minds and fresh thinking coming through the door every year.
Yes.
And I thought actually maybe we just need to change our minds on that and talk about the benefits more rather than worrying and angsting about people going somewhere where you can get three free meals a day.
Yeah, no, you're right. And it was interesting to talk about the entrepreneurialship, because I think that is a crucial thing, particularly in media now, rather than everyone's reverting to a startup mentality. But I think the entrepreneurial mentality is the one that allows people to grow, allows people to take initiative. And as you probably find in a smaller company, you can identify the people that aren't quite good enough much earlier, and there's nowhere for them to hide. Sometimes we're happy to let people go. Absolutely.
And I think you spoke to Damien Blackton, who's one of my newest recruits in as Chief Strategy Officer globally. Damien's just come from a startup company, so he was, I'm sure he's probably talked to you, but a cross-device tracking company, really interesting space. And actually he's going, actually compared to his old agency life, go back 3-4 years ago, we are fast, we do work at pace, we have a great culture, but he would like us to be more startup-like.
Right.
So he's there as a reminder and a provocateur to go, come on, you can still be more like a startup.
Yeah, and I think that's key, and it's hard for you, I suppose, to kind of implement that everywhere across the globe because everyone's working at a different pace. Is that fair to say? Are there parts of the global Maxus cycle that are really kind of had a great year, are really developing at a great speed?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. So I would say India is our most entrepreneurial and actually our most successful office. So we're the second largest agency in India. Okay. We've also got a second brand in India, which is number 7. So and they are actually, that scale hasn't dampened their spirit of entrepreneurialism at all. If you name it, our Indian office will say they can do it, and then they figure out how to do it, and they're really good. They're the most awarded of our countries. But then there are other markets like Vietnam. 80% of our business in Vietnam is digital because we've had a really brilliant, innovative leader. And actually, probably the main bit of my job, we come back to talent and culture, but having the right leader who creates in their own market that spirit of entrepreneurialism and a spirit of pace is really important, because I can stand and lead from the front and stand up on platforms and talk, but you need that spirit to live. And I think leadership is more important than ever, but you need good, strong, charismatic, inspirational leaders on the ground.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point, leadership. What makes a great global leader now, but actually what makes those leaders of all the regions as well? We talked about entrepreneurship, about inspiration. What are they, the two of the key ingredients? What else do you need to be a good leader?
I think you need a really good mix of EQ and IQ. I think sometimes people, they're given a job title and they kind of go, right, I'm now in charge, I'm the boss. It's like, well, you're only a leader. You look behind you. If no one's following you, you are not a leader. So why should anyone? There's a great report by Harvard Business School which says, why would anyone follow you? have a read.
I will check this out. I like that.
You read it and you go, well, actually, why would they? What's my leadership style? Mine's a mix of being, curious, trying to be charming, trying to be interested, but also, thinking about measurement, having conviction,
Yes.
I believe that I want to lead from the front, and I have an extrovert style, but equally I've seen very successful leaders who are much more introverted, who lead in a very different way. So good leadership, I guess, comes from that overused word, but being authentic and working out what you bring to the party, and then getting up and showing that, and being your true and your whole self.
And how do you find it as a female, with only 2 global leaders in media agencies that are females, yourself and Laura Desmond? In reality, is it tough to get through to people? Is it tough to break down the barriers that have been there before? I mean, we try to promote diversity, and actually as a sector, you want to represent the different countries you're in and actually be a true reflection of society. But, obviously that's not exactly happening at the moment. How tough has it been?
I mean, personally, I don't think it's been super tough for me, but then I'm probably quite a robust
This is true.
female.
This is true.
Youngest of 4 kids, had to fight to be heard at every, even as a child. So I guess I don't feel it's hampered me. I do feel it, and I sense it. I walk into a Global Exco, and every person in there is a man other than me. I get up on a stage. I'm quite often the only female there, and sometimes I will take the token reverse discrimination because it means I get to go to Davos with WPP. Great, fascinating opportunity. I do think it is changing, and I think actually the generation just below me, so women coming up in in their late 30s, early 40s, and their 20s, they are not going to accept the kind of leadership disparity that we have currently. But I think we're changing as we go through, and I think it will take that generation of 60-year-old men running the businesses to move on, and I think the women will rise. And then we come on to, okay, so if we can get more women in leadership roles, let's then close the gender gap on pay.
Absolutely. No, you're right. Absolutely. What do you think we need to do as an industry to ensure that it continues on, the momentum continues?
I think it's incumbent on us as individual companies. So at Maxus, I'm creating 2 programs. The first of which you can really help with, Jeremy, so thank you.
We'd
for offering.
love to, that's no problem.
Which is called Walk the Talk. So the
Okay.
reason I get up on stage, and I came to Festival of Media Rome, which I was delighted to, the reason I'm here, and it's a bit terrifying sometimes getting up, doing a
Yes.
keynote speech in Spain next week. I'm doing various things, but I think it's really important for women to have role models and to get up there and see that women just like, I was going to say you and me, you're not women, people just like me, people just like you can get up. So I think helping women feel more confident about speaking in public and having a voice is really important. And I sort of say sometimes women need an arm around the shoulder to go, of course you can do it, you're brilliant, you're going to be fabulous. And other times it's a kick up the backside to say, of course you can do it, get up on stage and you'll be brilliant.
Yes.
So we must make sure that we're not holding ourselves back, but we must give women the tools to feel the confidence to go up. So that's Walk the Talk. And then the second programme is called kind of Mind the Gap, which is slightly more HR focused in terms of making sure we pay women fairly, and also making sure we're really fair to men and women, to mothers and fathers with paternity and maternity leave. So how do we help create environments where either mothers or fathers can work flexibly? Because that is unfortunately still one of the key truths, that when you become a parent, and generally when you become a mother, suddenly your world's turned upside down. Your ability to work and balance work or manage work and childcare, generally the responsibility falls on the mother to do that rather than the father. So how do we help change that for women and make it easier? Leave do a great job, for example, of that. And how do we also be fair to men? Because actually maybe, you're a recent father.
Yes, indeed.
Maybe you want to take a year off and look after your daughter and take a break, or you want to take 6 months off and then you want to come back to work in a flexible way because your wife's doing a full-time career. Yeah,
no, absolutely. How far away do you think we are from doing it, from that position? A long way, or do you think we're almost kind of, sometimes you look around our industry and it's quite perplexing because you see some aspects, you think, brilliant, there's some great women leaders out there and people looking up to them, and then you kind of look a little bit under the surface and you feel we're backwards in certain ways. But as a sector overall in the world of business, I feel we're kind of trying to get there at least.
Yeah, I think one thing that Sheryl Sandberg did with Lean In, which is probably
Yes.
3 years old now. She really restarted the debate, and now there's such a swell of public opinion. There's things like He for She, there's brilliant ad campaigns, so P&G's Like a Girl, and I think there's such a positive momentum. And feminism is no longer a dirty word. It's a really positive word that everyone's embracing. It makes sense for business. So I would like to think that the marketing industry, the advertising industry more, as a smaller piece of that, would be leading the way.
Yeah.
So I guess I need Maxus. I need to make sure what's within my control is to make sure that Maxus can do its bit to help that.
It sounds exciting times. Walk the talk sounds great. So that will obviously be part of your mantra for the next 2 or 3 years. What else can we look forward to that you can actually tell us without giving away too many secrets? We don't want Richard going away with the company secrets yet. But what else is in the Lindsay mantra for Maxus?
Well, I saw Sorrel at lunchtime, and as he left, he sort of waggled his finger and said, "Bring me some new business." So yeah, thanks.
Okay, tick.
Thanks. So I always say when I go around to the local offices, growth is a given if you're a WPP company, as in
Yes.
you have to get growth, so make sure you do. But it's continuing to refine our offer and continuing to differentiate what we do. Because we are one of 4 operating companies within Group M, we need to make sure that we're offering something different, that we benefit from the scale of the group, and we do. I love being part of Group M. I love the fact that scale in trading and technology gives us a huge amount of leverage in the market and a huge amount of opportunity for our clients, but people need to work out why they're coming through the Maxus coloured door and not a Mindshare and Mediacom and MEC, who are all brilliant companies. So as a group, we all want to succeed, but what's the Maxus difference? How do I tighten up our offer? Which is why someone like Damien Blackton joining us is really exciting and interesting to be part of that journey.
Yeah. And I suppose my kind of final 2 questions are, what do you think is going to be the kind of key drivers for the industry in 2016? And what now makes an agency stand out and differentiate itself to the rest of the market?
I guess they're probably interlinked questions. I think making sense. I mean, actually, being here at Dmexco is really interesting, but actually quite overwhelming, and is an example of some of the challenges facing our industry. So there are, I can't remember whether it's 600 stands or 900 stands of different ad tech companies.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Absolutely.
And they're all talking, they're all saying they can do the same thing, and some are tiny and some are massive. They're all competing, there's no integration of those systems. We're trying to advise clients in a tech perspective as much as we do in a media perspective. So how do we help? I think integration is going to be a key trend, and we're miles away from it at the moment because there's competition on every front, and actually, you can't just say we'll get an API for that and everything miraculously works. It doesn't work quite often. So I think integration across technology, better technology,
Yes.
so cross-device technology,
Yes.
not just cross-channel technology. And I think what will help agencies stand out will always be the quality of the people. I always say, you look into my eyes. Do you believe that me or Joan or Ted or Billy is the person that's going to run your business, that when you're in the trenches, we'll be in the trenches with you and we'll help you out, and when you are winning and celebrating, you'll want to go out and celebrate and style with them. So how do you build their trust and relationship? I still think people, someone said, human capital. We can call it human capital if we like. Yes. I would prefer to call it brilliant people talent. I think that's really important. But I think actually having a real end-to-end solution. So we have our change planning process, which is fully, it's open source, it's fully digitalized. Everybody can use it across the Maxus network. We can ask each other questions along the way. We've got automated sources of data and APIs that we pull in. And it's end-to-end. So there are dashboards attached to it. So we can see, what do we need to change for clients? Where are we today? Where do we want to be tomorrow? And then we can look across the whole of that journey in real time. So an end-to-end solution. So rather than talking about the benefits of adaptive marketing or the real-time era, let's actually start doing it. And that's what I think will be the crunch in 2016.
Okay, well, thank you for that. There's a few things I've taken from that. Walk the talk. I love the curious nature is great, and I love the whole point of being humble and understanding what people want, and the whole people development, which is great. And I think they're the things that make you a good leader and why people want to work for Maxus. But
I hope so.
Hopefully that was all right. That was good. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy.